And we're live, beaming to you directly from Sydney, Australia, and today, Ottawa in Canada. We've got a gentleman who has co-founded his own retreat and is also offering a year-long internship for 10 lucky people. And we've just been catching up for the last 5 minutes before the live cast, and I tell you what, having Lee Davy on the show today is very exciting because this gentleman's got a lot going on, and I'm really looking forward to exploring a whole range of topics with Lee this morning, and I'm sure for all you guys that tune in, you're absolutely going to love it. Welcome to the show, Lee. How's things, brother?
Good, Michael. Things are awesome, and I just want to say how grateful I am to you for connecting and for having me be a part of your show, The Awakening Point. I'm excited to be here and can't wait to delve into the discussion.
Yeah, 100%. So, Lee, it's as though, I mean, I don't know you that well. We haven't spoken that much, but I get this energy from you that you've been working really, really hard for a long time, following your bliss, cutting your own path in what you believe in so strongly. And it's like the rubber's met the road. You've got traction. You're a co-owner in this retreat. You're offering an internship now for a year, helping people. Tell us a little bit about this journey that's happened in your life for you to arrive at this point where you're on the live cast with us today.
Oh, it's kind of a loaded question because the journey actually started almost 30 years ago. And it's funny because I remember asking myself or just starting to ask questions around 13, 14 years old. The religion didn't resonate with me. School didn't resonate. This kind of physical reality that we're in didn't resonate. And I'm like, there's no truth in what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing. And that started the journey so long ago, and I started to ask questions. I actually wrote a letter to, I don't know if, do you guys have or remember Body for Life with Bill Phillips? Back in the day, he had a transformation challenge.
Yeah, it does ring a bell, actually.
So I wrote him at 13 years old, being like, I've got this fire inside. I don't fully know. Sometimes I still don't even know what it is. But you seem like you have it all worked out. Maybe you can mentor me or give me a job or something. He never got back to me, so I've kind of been fumbling my way through ever since. But in recent years, I've been able to kind of look back, and Steve Jobs says you can only realize looking back that you can connect the dots. You can't connect the dots going forward. And so I've realized that it has been a life's journey to really know myself, really discover who I am and what I'm capable of. And so I've been through 50 different plant medicine ceremonies and working with various mentors on understanding how the mind works and energy and meditation and metaphysics. And more recently, I've gotten comfortable with putting myself out there that that I have done the work. The work's not near done yet. It's not near complete. I think we can continue to go deeper and deeper into understanding, who we are and how all this, our mind, body, and spirit connects and functions. But I'm far enough along now to realize that, I have learned some things, and I just want to share and support people in their endeavors to knowing more about themselves. And I really am holding for, like many of us, like yourself, this new paradigm for us to be able to shift into and eliminate, lines of competition, eliminate our separateness, realize that we are all one, and reconnect in that way. And that's what I talk about a lot. I talk about creating success from the inside out. That's what the retreat center is about. Bringing community back into humanity. So I think that's kind of a long-winded answer to your question.
No, it's actually wonderful because what I love most about doing this show and having people like yourself on are the recurring themes that I keep hearing, the heartfelt common denominator that us warriors on this path have, and that is that we're all one. You know, it's all about love. It's all about self-transformation, and I'm already having that radiating out of the screen from you, which is absolutely wonderful. You know, like Trace and myself over the last year, in our transitioning, it's been a real roller coaster as we're shedding, you know, our egos and all that stuff, moving from fear to love. Have you yourself, Lee, experienced that kind of a roller coaster?
Absolutely. You know, I think, and again, I really feel like it goes back to knowing ourselves, and the more we really fully know ourselves and understand ourselves, and come to realize that, you know, we're not our fears, we're not, you know, all the stories that, you know, I think we attach to the story that, you know, maybe of the hurts and the pains and our wounding, and to come to the realization that we're not the stories, and to really kind of connect with, you know, back to our spirits, back to our hearts, then it allows us to be seen, you know, in all of our perfect imperfectness. You know, we're imperfect beings, and yet there's perfection in that. And I think coming to know that and understand that we truly are all one, and that if I hurt you, I'm only hurting myself, and that if I love you, I'm loving myself, and if I'm supporting you, I'm supporting myself. So I think as we come to really understand this, that you know, it allows us to be seen in all that we truly are, and allows us to really reconnect with each other, and all that means, and love and support and community and all these things. So it's initially, I think it's difficult to get over, and to realize that, you know, maybe some of the things that we were taught, or some of the things that we believe, aren't necessarily true. But once you kind of get over that initial shock of like, oh, you know, there's more to it all than what I'm perceiving through my five senses, then I really think once you embrace that perspective of it, that it just allows you to grow in exponential ways, and really connect with, you know, with incredible people that you know, are on that same awakening journey.
Like so many other guests, you've opened up with guns blazing, like going straight into the deep waters. You know, I absolutely love that, and you know, I'm really resonating with your terminology, with your words. You know, obviously you've had a lot of direct experience in this, and what I love about what you're saying, and agree so much with you, bro, is, you know, when we're interacting with other people, really we're interacting with ourselves, aren't we? And establishing that connection with others, knowing that they are us, that we are really all one, that kind of like really lifts our vibration, lifts our perception, opens up our awareness so much more, doesn't it?
Oh, it's such a rewarding and freeing perspective, I guess is the only way to put it. It's, you know, and the more that I've embraced that, and the more that I've connected to that, and I really find that having the different perspectives, having the you know, the scientific perspective, the spiritual perspective, you know, having all these different perspectives really helps to, I guess, appease, if you will, the logical brain, because we still are, you know, we still have that portion of the brain where it's like trying to make sense of it all. So for me, it's like, I kind of equate it to pieces of a puzzle. So it's like, if you only have one piece of a puzzle, you don't have a very clear picture of you know, who you are and what you're capable of. But all of a sudden you put all the pieces together, and, you know, it's health, it's mindset, it's mind, it's, you know, scientific, it's meditation, it's all these things. When you have the whole puzzle, you get a very clear picture of, you know, who we are, what we're capable of, and you know, that we really are all one. So it's kind of fun when you start to paint the picture like that.
I love how you're pulling together all of the different pieces there, like the science, the spirituality, talking about logic, as well as talking about, intuition, talking about the things that are tangible, that are easy to understand at the intellectual level, as well as the things that are not so tangible, that can only really be understood almost at the level where there is no language, and tying all of that together to understand ourselves, to unlock our potential in this realm. Is that the kind of thing that you're teaching in your internship?
It is. It's first of all, and we talked about it briefly before we went live. I'm discovering that people don't always realize they have a story or know what that story is, and so I want to help people to really go inward and figure out what their story is, because as we share our stories, I think they're one of my favorite poems by Marianne Williamson. She says, as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give others permission to do the same. So as we tell our stories, as more people are able to resonate with that, and some people will resonate with my story, some will resonate with yours, some with the next person. So as we share our stories, we're going to come to realize that we all have hardships, we all have obstacles, we all have things to overcome, and we are all the same. So different circumstances, maybe different situations, and yet when we share those, it allows others to kind of free themselves. So helping people discover what their story is, create their mission statement, get in touch with their passion, purpose-driven beliefs and goals, and then bring in the mindset, bring in the science of it. How changing our thoughts and changing our feelings really will change our physiology, really will change the chemistry of the body. And as you start to do that, and then start to really envision where you want to go and what you're really capable of, I talk to people like, if you can come to the perspective or come to the understanding that we are vibrational beings, and we optimize all the vibrations that we're bringing into us and that we're surrounding ourselves with, meaning our thoughts, our food, our water, our nutrition, our training, the people we're surrounding ourselves with. As we optimize all those vibrations, it's going to optimize how this mind, body, spirit matrix functions. And as we optimize that, the energy that is released is going to be incredible. And I think that's going to help us bridge to the new paradigm and really begin to evolve. So, bringing in all these different tactics, all these different perspectives. I mean, there are so many incredible mentors around the world that some I've been, very fortunate enough to study with in person, and some I just follow, on YouTube and that sort of thing. And as I continue to learn and piece it together from my perspective, that's what I'm trying to put out there, and essentially that is what it is in the internship as well.
It's incredible the power of this mentor archetype, and how we come across these mentors in our own journey when we're ready for it. I find in my own journey, and I'm again resonating with what you're saying, as far as mentors go, there's probably about 4 or 5 that I've come across over the last 12 months even, that have all had such a critical effect on me going forward and understanding my own story, to be able to share it on social media, exactly like how we are right now, connecting with you, discussing this, putting it out there for other people to be a part of the conversation, and like it's just such a beautiful process, I find.
I couldn't agree more. I really feel like, and I think that's where it starts, is just being open to it. And I've had this conversation a couple times in the last couple of weeks, how, people that are maybe not ready or are really clinging to their beliefs, or maybe closed off to some of these things, it's almost like they approach life as if they've got it all figured out. And the one thing that I'm learning, and I learned it long ago, is the more I know, it's the more I realize I don't know. I don't know, you know. So approaching things of that, you know, I am an empty cup. Fill me. You know, I have so much to learn. And I think when you approach things like that, it allows you to, you know, to be open to and really welcome and ready to find those mentors and those coaches and then, you know, that makes us who we are, and then we're able to share what we've learned.
A lot of these mentor figures and archetypes, or like, even when we don't have personal contact with them, I find with myself just the example of them is so powerful. Just the example of them being themselves. And when we come into contact with the energy, it's like, wow. You know, you just mentioned that the more you progress in your journey, the more you evolve, the more you realize that, wow, I don't know shit, you know. And I absolutely feel the same way. And it reminded me, as soon as you said that, you know, when I come into contact with these great beings, you know, they're so humble, and it's just one of the first things that I feel like, geez, Mike, you know, you've got a long way to go. You don't know anything yet.
Yeah, man, I'm right there with you. And it's I used to joke about, you know, going down the rabbit hole, you know, in the Matrix when he's like, you know, red pill or blue pill. So it's like, you know, once you start going down the rabbit hole, it just, I mean, it's unending. You know, it just keeps going. It's wider and deeper, and you know, I don't think the self-exploration can ever end, because I think, you know, another favorite quote of mine is know thyself, and thou shalt know all the secrets of the gods in the universe. And so that's infinite. So, you know, the learning will never end, as far as I'm concerned, as long as we're here. It can actually be quite terrifying, you know, like, I mean, speaking of the Matrix with the red pill, blue pill, you know, he's Neo thinking that, you know, he's some kind of cool hacker dude that's going to join this group of other hackers that are going to, like, you know, cause some grief for the government or something. He takes this pill, and then he actually wakes up in the real world and realizes, holy shit, this is like so much bigger than what I thought. I didn't sign up for this, but it's too late. He can't go back now. And sometimes I feel like that as well, you know, like when I realize, man, like, I'm clinging to this old version of myself so much, and sometimes the ego's just overwhelmingly does not want to let go of things, and it can feel like, wow, this path can be overwhelming, as you start getting glimpses of, you know, what's really going on inside, you know. Do you ever experience that, or have you dealt with that in people that you interact with? I've definitely dealt with that in one particular group that I study with ongoing. It's called Training in Power. So essentially, it's a metaphysical. I mean, we learn through meditation, but it's like we learn to wield energetics, and we learn to energetically shield ourselves. If that makes sense, you know, at the quantum level, it's like, you know, everything is energy. So it's like we've tapped into that quantum level with the coursework. So in that, in particular, in one of the levels, it's like we learn to. It's almost like straddling, you know, this reality and the quantum reality, or this reality and the spiritual reality, and so it becomes a discernment and almost a detachment of getting wrapped up in this reality. But to come to that point, to come to that realization and understanding, it's I think it's really difficult for a lot of people. It's like, you mean everything that I've believed over my 20 years, 30 years, 50 years, 60 years, depending on how old you are when you start to awaken, is actually not what's going on. That's not real. So I think it can be really disheartening, really shake the foundation of people when you first come to this point. But again, just being open to it, and I talk in some of my coaching with my clients about just taking that first step, and as you take these steps, as you because I truly believe the universe is not going to give you anything that you're not ready for. And so if it's being presented to you, then you're ready to deal with it. So just take those steps. Make sure you have the support around you. Have that support, whether it's mentors or coaches or a friend or a spouse that's on the same journey. And I think as you have that support and you're taking those steps, and you start to really embrace the unknown. I think the unknown is scary for a lot of people. So when you start to embrace that unknown and know that you are supported, you are supported by the universe as well, and you really begin to make those connections, then I think it makes it much less scary for people. But it can definitely be scary at the beginning.
We've got a question from the audience for you, Lee. The Tasmanian native, good friend of ours from Tasmania, he's asking you, do you find, Lee, that we've been brought into a world of false hope?
False hope. If I'm understanding the question right, I would say we're brought into a world of paradigms. I would say that we're promised, like in America, for example, the American dream, but it's fitting us into a paradigm of good little worker bees. And if you look at the education system, I think that the education system teaches us what to think. It doesn't teach us how to think. So there's a very important distinction there, and learning to think for ourselves, it's not taught. I think we're indoctrinated into a certain system that puts us into certain roles, and those certain roles are what make up our societal models. And I think if we can kind of step outside of that, I'm not bashing education, I'm not, but I think if we can step outside to that and learn to go within, and I truly believe all the answers are within. I truly believe that statement that, when we come to know ourselves, we know all the secrets of the gods in the universe. We connect with a higher power. We connect with our higher selves, a greater consciousness, if you will, however you want to however you want to say it. And as we connect to that, and as we truly learn to think for ourselves and embrace, our higher selves, I think it gets us out of that paradigm, that societal model, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think he's actually agreeing totally with you on that. Good answer. Yes, he's saying, yes, I totally agree about the education system. That's exactly what I was on to. Yes, I thought so. Yeah. You picked that up well, Lee. Great answer. Yeah. So, I totally agree with you on that as well. Both of my kids are in school at the moment. In Australia, they're in primary school. My son's 11, my daughter's 8. And, some of the communications we get from the school, and just the way that they deal with some things, especially when it comes to the politically correct sort of agendas that are going on these days. Some of them are absolutely ridiculous, and it's embarrassing at times.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so I think there's a just to kind of expand on that, I think there's that false hope in the current paradigm. But then I think when we go within and really connect and really understand all the things that we've been talking about, understand that we're all one, understand that we have all, truly do have all the answers, that we are truly meant for greatness, we are truly meant to be abundant on, in this reality, that we can, it turns us on to a new hope, but it's a truth. It's so much more truth than what is in our current reality and in our current paradigm and taught in schools. And when you connect to that truth, then you really can manifest the life of your dreams. And I think that's the real hope that should be taught and is not.
Yeah, I think you've just hit the nail on the head, and I want to further explore this line, what you've just brought up there. You just said that, that we can manifest. And that's what I really want to go into. Let's delve a little bit more into manifesting and what your view is, what your recommendations are, for the audience that are watching. I know that a lot of our audience love the topic of manifesting into their life, how they can manifest the life that they really, dream. I don't like to use the words desire or want, but we know what we're talking about there. Yeah. What can you say about that, Lee? Let's explore that topic a little bit.
Absolutely. So for me, I've really come to and again, this is it's like layers of an onion. You get through one layer and you think you're done, but there are layers of understanding, layers of awareness, layers of healing. And this is a recent layer, a recent realization of a really kind of a flowing back and forth between surrendering and receiving, connecting and allowing, and then visualizing and manifesting. And I think if we're always focused on the doing, and I guess it breaks down to the difference between doing and being. So if we're always focused on the doing, right, and that's kind of the human is out front, it's the ego, it's I got to make things happen, and a lot of times it can feel like swimming upstream. So if you're flowing, if you're swimming against the current, then you haven't taken the time to sit and meditate, connect and allow, right, to really surrender and receive maybe what that message is, what your get in touch with what your purpose is, with what your passions are. Your passion, purpose driven. You don't necessarily like the word desires, but goals. And that can only come through introspection, through sitting quietly, through meditation, through connection to your higher self, to source, to God, whatever you want to call it. It's the same energy. And when you do that, when you really allow that connection, when you really start to get that information, you're going to start to take a different direction. So that's kind of part one. Part two is creating the image of what you want in your life and starting to focus on that. So, how many people do you want to help? What is it, what are your passion, purpose driven desires in how you're going to help? What's the vehicle you're going to use? Who are you when you're doing that? How much money are you making? And yes, we can be divine beings, successful, have lots of money and help a lot of people in the process. So, it doesn't have to be one or the other. So it's, and then once you have that vision, once you have, I like to think of it as a sculpture, and you're going to keep going back to it, and you're going to chip a little away, and you're going to refine it, and you're going to add pieces here, and so that vision is never complete. But then that vision, you want to be detached from how it comes to fruition and when it comes to fruition, because the stuff that you're connecting to and allowing and communicating with, it's going to come in. Your vision is going to come in. You're going to have the human you is going to have somewhat of an idea of what it looks like. But if you're detached in how it comes in and what it looks like and when it comes in, it's going to come in so much bigger than you could ever have imagined or conceptualized from our mind, because you're connected to that greater power. You're allowing that to flow in.
I think too many times it does, dude. It does. Like, you really touched on some great stuff there. Very, very profound points where, each one there, and there's about 3 or 4 that you touched on, can totally and radically change someone's life. The being and doing stuff, that in itself takes time to get our head and heart around. But when we actually stop trying to do all the time and just be, it's like we get out of our own way and we let the higher powers do their thing, and we let life step in. We let our connection to spirit, if we want to call it that, or source, to come in, inspire us, and we find our flow where we just surrender to all of this, this addiction to being busy, which is really coming from the wrong place.
Absolutely.
And then flowing into like the real thing and just surrendering into it, going with the flow. Like, I love all of those points that you just brought up, and think that they're, each one of those is a life journey in itself.
Absolutely. And you hit it bang on with regards to busy. The people that don't carve out time for themselves, that, I see it every day. And when you ask people, how you doing? Busy. I'm busy. But are you productive? Are you happy? Are you, and I think busy is something that people do so that they don't have to feel. They don't have to really, sit with that quietude, with that introspection. And I'll tell you, even with all the work that I've done over the last 30 years, when I was I was traveling January through April this year, and I was really far away from home, put it that way. But and it was the most alone that I've ever felt. But it was a reminder, and it was the perfect opportunity for me to go deeper within and really connect at such a depth with source, to the point where the matrix, the busy on the outside, had shut off, and I was having like these direct experiences where I'd be thinking something or asking for a sign, and I'd look up and I'd see a literal sign of an answer to what I was actually asking, right? So that introspection and that quiet, even though we're afraid of it for whatever reason, maybe it's because we have to really sit with our feelings, we have to really look ourselves in the mirror, but when you do that, life just it really becomes more and more magical as you go deeper and deeper, and I think that's, if there's any message for people, I think that's the message of just continue to do the work and continue to go inward, and life just really starts to open up to you and becomes a magical adventure.
I think Sarah is asking a question. Her timing is perfect, because it's exactly what you're talking about right now. So well done with that timing, Sarah. A little bit of synchronicity going on here with the audience. So Sarah's asking you, Lee, do you think people are sad and deal with a lot of fear from a lack of connection to themselves and each other?
Absolutely. I do, Sarah. I think social media is as great as it is for exploration and connecting and with people around the world. I think it's become a platform where it's kind of a comparison, and people are looking at, nobody posts really the negative stuff or the difficult stuff or the their hardships, and so it's always everybody's highlight reel, if you will. And so I think people start comparing themselves to that, and then off screen it's like, my life's not that great. Like, there are hard times and there are things, difficulties, and so I think the more connected through our devices and that sort of thing we become, the more disconnected we actually are with each other, and I think that's what brings about the sadness. And then like we just discussed, the being busy and that busyness really is a distraction that takes us away from dealing with the wounding, dealing with the hurt, looking in the mirror, realizing, am I living the life that I want to, or is this as a result of the paradigm? Is this the life that my parents, my teachers, my boss wants me to live? So I think being able to sit with those feelings and coming back to that quietude again, it's a little scary at first, but it's so rewarding, and that's the other reason for these communities and these retreat centers is, let's bring community, let's bring real connection back into the world. And we'll use our devices for what they're used for maybe reaching out and expanding our message and stuff like that. But let's get back to really heart-to-heart connection with each other. And I think when we do that, then a great deal of healing can really begin to take place.
I think as far as our devices go and social media like Facebook, you're spot on in that people, a lot of us put just the highlight reel up on social media every day. We just put forward the idealistic, artistic, abstract of ourselves up on social media, in our greatest victory moments only. And there's a trap in that, because other people kind of start to compare themselves to other people's highlight reel, as you put it, and then that they feel depressed. It's like, wow, my life's not that good. That person's life looks like it's amazing. Mine's shit, and they get depressed about it. So I think what you're saying is great, because I myself, in a lot of the interactions I have with others, share with them all the time that it's actually very empowering to be transparent, to be honest, to just let go of all that stuff, even on a live cast where you just tell people what's really going on with you, even if it is, a struggling time.
Absolutely. Yeah, I absolutely agree. And again, it goes back to, sharing our story, and as we share that, it's like people identify with that. People, oh, okay, so it's not all sunshine and rainbows all the time for you. That resonates with me. Oh, you're going through hard times too, or you've had to overcome obstacles too. And I've had mentors in the past where it's like, I just went from this to this success, and it was just like that, and it was easy. And I don't agree with that. I'm sure there were difficult times, so why not share those? Why not share those? And I think that empowers people, to a much greater extent than just saying, you're here and want to go here. It's easy, and anybody can do it. Yes, anybody can do it, but it's it does take work, and it does take time and effort, and you got to be willing to put the work in, and if you got to be willing to put the work in, and the time and effort, and just know that there are going to be obstacles to overcome, and that we all have them.
Yeah, and a lot of people, when they hear the term, like, that you've got to do the hard work, that it takes time, there's this trap that we fall into where we think that it's got to do with external work, that it's got to do with what I call outer hustle, all the work to be successful, to get on top of the bills, to put money in the bank, to all of these external things, when really what we're talking about here is internal work, or the inner hustle. Let's explore that a little bit. How can we explore this with terminology for instance, say some people that may be watching this for the first time, that may be thinking, okay, Lee, what do you mean by working on myself internally? Okay,
so look at it as, if we just kind of bring it back to quote unquote personal growth. Okay, so if you're choosing to eat healthier, you're into personal growth. If you're choosing to go to the gym and become the fittest you this year, you're into personal growth. If you're choosing to understand how your mind works better, you're into personal growth. So whatever form of personal growth you're into, first of all, embrace that, do it fully. But then that, at least in my eyes, it opens you up to, that's kind of a jump off point. And that opens you up to other areas of personal growth. And so, if we go into the, kind of the neurology and physiology, our brains work a certain way. Most adults enter into beta brainwave frequency. It's very logical, it's very predictable, it's very, contracted or constricted. It's, working on tasks, working on assignments, driving to work, taking care of the kids. Like it's, which is fine. But if you're not coming out of that, if you don't sleep well, if you're producing an overabundance of beta brainwaves, then that's going to lead to, disorders. It's going to lead to anxieties. It's going to lead to depression in some cases. So we want to come down out of that. So understanding how this whole thing works, and understanding that if you listen to classical music every day, for example, you're going to come down into an alpha brainwave frequency. It's more calm, it's more focused, it's more relaxed, you'll sleep better. So understanding that all these things, going back to the, we're vibrational beings and these are all vibrations, all these things are just tools. And you can combine these tools to optimize and understand how your mind works, optimize your health, optimize the energy that you produce from your body, optimize your thinking, learn how, what manifestation looks like. And as you do that, as you start to understand these things, there's an understanding, the difference between the conscious and subconscious mind. And the subconscious mind is where our paradigms come from. So for example, up until the age of 6-7 years old, we're in the theta brainwave frequency, and we're recording everything that's going on around us, that's coming in through our five senses. Now, did you know that most people, or do your listeners know that most people never deviate from that? So we're running with the same operating software that we had up until 7 years old, and until you start to take on, personal growth and start to understand how the mind works and how to reprogram the mind, we reprogram it with repetition, or typically an external, something negative happens and that shakes us and makes us wake up. Whereas if you do the introspection and the internal work and understand how the mind works, and then start to do the repetition on whatever it is you're focusing on, or whatever it is that you're trying to learn, to rewrite the old software, right? Then that's going to reprogram you and allow you to, move forward and, whatever, whether it's your health or your relationships or monetarily or with a business. So taking that step and filling yourself with that knowledge and being open to personal growth.
So Lee, when you say introspection, what are we actually introspecting on when we're looking within? What sort of, how can we expand on that word introspection and what that looks like for a person that has never done it before?
So sit with certain questions. So I have some really good exercise. So for example, what are you really passionate about? What do you feel like your purpose is? Right? And if you're doing this for the first time, it's probably not going to come to you right away. Okay, so and I kind of equate it to when you're speaking with somebody and you're like, you're trying to think of somebody else's name and it doesn't come to you, and then you go away and it hits you and you're like, oh, okay, that's it's kind of like that. So you sit with what am I really passionate about? What is my purpose for being here? And it's not going to come to you, and you're going to go away, and then you're going to come back and you're going to sit with the question again. And you keep doing that and you keep coming back to it. And then all of a sudden, you'll be at the grocery store and someone will hit your cart and you'll swing around, and you'll catch out of the corner of your eye, the heading on a magazine or something. But it's that series of events that triggers something in your brain that's like, oh my God, that's it. Like that's what I want to do for the rest of my life, right? Another thing is write out your perfect day. I think we become so logical in how we think that if it's got to be logical. It's got to be I don't know another word for logical. So it's got to be logical. So get away from the logic. If you were to write out your perfect day, if you had a genie and could have 3 wishes, write out that perfect day. And if that was the day that you're going to live like Groundhog Day for the rest of your life, what would that day look like? Go back in and like I said before, look at, cultivate what your story is. So these are all kind of exercises. Write your obituary. If you want to leave a legacy, if you were going to be remembered for something, or want people to feel better for having crossed your path in this lifetime, in this reality, what would that be? So I think these are all kind of exercises to start to get your mind around, living into what you're truly capable of living into.
And in moving away from logic, are we moving more towards feeling, emotion? What are we moving towards as we move away from logic?
Yeah, I think that starts to go into the quantum field, right? Again, so everything is energy. We live in an ocean of motion, right? At the microscopic level, beyond our 5 senses or beneath our 5 senses, everything is vibrating. Another way to look at it is, again, I like to try to appease the left brain among us, the logical among us. Does everyone believe that dogs can hear whistles that we can't? That is an energy, a frequency that's outside the realm of our 5 senses. So, our thoughts, although there are devices now that can measure our thoughts, it can measure, our auras, our energy fields. So all of this is about setting an intention to connect with the quantum field. And as you set your intentions, you're going to change your feelings, you're going to change your vibration, and you're going to start to pull into the physical reality what was first just in your mind. So, if you look at everything in our reality, all of the computers that we're on right now, our headphones, your mic set, the picture behind you, those were all first thoughts in somebody's mind, and it had to materialize into the physical world. So, if you just think about it as connecting to your thoughts and your intentions, you're going to connect to that quantum world. And, it's almost like building an architecture. And as you build that architecture with your thoughts, with your intentions in that quantum world, then you're able to bring that architecture into the physical realm, into your reality.
On last week's show, we had Christian Sundberg on, who was exploring quality of intent, or the quality of our intention, and you were just touching on that just then. So the quality of our intentions to interact, within ourselves, with things that we discover, as we become more aware. What was ignorance before, because we weren't at a level of growth where we could see it, all of a sudden becomes aware to us, because we've grown up and outgrown enough fears, loving towards ourselves. So we illuminate it with our awareness, and it's like, wow, shit, look at this. And it can really make us take a big step back and feel shocked, feel like, we've regressed a little bit, and takes a bit of time to get our head around it, get our heart around it before we move forward again. Do you find that the more evolved we become and the higher the quality of our intention, becomes that allows us to then focus our intent in areas that are less to do with ourselves as individuals and more to do with other kind of like reaching up to higher goals that have got to do with the world instead of just ourselves and our own gain. What do you think about that?
I do. I mean, again, with the energetic, like meditative training that I'm in, it's actually called Training in Power, for anybody who wants to check it out. But we talk about, kind of the motto is heal the self, heal the world. So, and think of it almost in terms of pollution. So if we've got, mental, emotional, spiritual, physical pollution, then when we start to clean that up in ourselves, then, it first of all allows others to tune to that, energetically speaking, to see it and to either choose to, follow in that, follow us into the light, so to speak, or, turn away from the light. People are either going to be attracted to the light or they're going to be scared because it's going to illuminate stuff that they don't want to or are not ready to look at yet. But yeah, as I've healed and I've been on this journey, it's almost, it would be selfish of me not to share what I've learned, and I think as we continue to heal and we continue to grow and we continue to evolve, as we continue to share, again, it allows others to see and choose to follow and tune to that healing and that growth. But then, yeah, it allows us to expand. And, for a long time, it was, for me, again, it was a fear, a fear of public speaking, a fear of being seen, a fear of being judged, a fear of, what are people going to think, and so I think when you really come to know yourself, you really start to let go all of those fears, and that definitely allows you to, to open up, and as you open up, actually, there's a great quote in one of the Jason Silva videos. He says, life begins at the edge of your comfort zone, right? Or fear and faith both require us to believe in something unseen. Why not choose faith? So, as you do the work and you choose faith over fear and continue to choose to share, I think it opens up a world of possibilities, and my world just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and what was once really scary for me is no longer something I'm scared of, and that's there's a combination of the visualization practices plus all the other tools that I use, plus actually just doing it and kind of living into that vision that and the goals that I've set. I don't know if that makes sense.
Absolutely. So, Lee, with the retreat that you're co-owner of, do you guys hold events yourselves at the retreat, or is this a place that you own that other organizations come in and book it?
Essentially, it is for other organizations. So the main owners, Jake Sassville, Nadav Wolf, there's one other, Jeff, I think. I haven't had as much communication with him, but they want to be extremely good hosts. They are extremely good hosts. So there'll be a host center so essentially, you and your wife can go as Airbnb guests, or you could actually organize a retreat, set the retreat up and tell them how many members are going to be coming along with you on the retreat, and then we will essentially host it. So
okay, and whereabouts is the actual retreat center?
So it's in Dominical, Costa Rica.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's it's on 20 acres of land. You know, it's near the ocean, and then there's you know, forest and all around us. So it's a really beautiful property. I actually haven't been yet. We just took it over. But yeah, two weeks ago. So we just took possession of it 2 weeks ago, after a lot of due diligence and hard work by the main owners. So I'm just a very small component of that. So grateful to have found those guys, and you know, and it's interesting about the retreats or these community type places. You know, I've been so fortunate to have connected with people from all over the world now, and this is a common theme. This is a common goal. People are getting very similar visions and really vying to start up these communities where people can, you know, share the land, live off the land, you know, live in community. And I want to do another one here in Canada, that'll essentially be, it'll be a school and a home. So essentially all the teachers, all the healers, all the modalities, you know, we've got like super advanced energy devices, advanced energy healing techniques, you know, all the kind of the traditional therapies, meditation, yoga, training, nutrition, breath work. I want to have all that, all the technologies, all the healers under one roof. Horticulture, permaculture, so have greenhouses so that people can kind of, you know, learn again to grow their own food, live off the land. So actually have a center, you know, where people are living there year round, but then people can actually come in and learn and heal and grow and really connect and be a part of community. So, you know, it's incredible to see, you know, a similar vision, albeit from different perspectives, popping up all around the world.
That's like really awesome stuff, Lee. So exciting. Like, you know, that's a huge vision, and I think you're right. I think that this is we're going to see more of this stuff popping up, because these are skills, you know, when it comes to like growing food naturally from the earth, that many of us are just completely detached from. So, you know, living in a space like that, I think spiritually, wow, the personal growth and experience that, you know, we could have spending, say, 6 months of the year in an environment like that. Wow, I was just picturing myself and Trace being there, you know, for 6 months of the year, going, wow, like that would be so beautiful. Yeah, and I'm, you know, I really think that, I think we're ready. You know, I think you know, one of the questions was alluding to how, you know, unhappy people are, and I think that's a big part of it. And I think, you know, again, you know, I've met so many amazing people and organizations that are all, you know, I think they're all like doing their part of, this is how we bridge to the new paradigm. This is how we go from our current societal model to the new one. This is how we, you know, go from being and thinking that we're separate to reconnecting and bringing community back in. And, you know, I'm holding, I really see a future, a new paradigm where, you know, even in business, where everything that was used, deceit, competition, you know, individuality, all these things that were used to build the current model, if you will, we do away with. And it's support, leverage, co-creation, you know, connection, collaboration, and we do away with all the separateness, and we just continue to lift each other up. And that's what I think these communities could be a catalyst in driving forward. And then, you know, my hope is that it flows into the business arena as well, of, you know what, it's not a dog eat dog world. You don't have to step over someone to you know, get to the next level. We can support each other, we can leverage, and it doesn't have to change what each individual company or organization is doing. It's just like, you know,
we're all going to hold hands, and we're going to say, if the old platform, if the old model was done that way, we're going to hold hands and we're going to create a new model for humanity to move forward in, and we're going to support each other. We're going to leverage each other's networks, and we're going to still do what we do as an individual company. It's not going to change, but now holding hands with everybody else, we can allow the masses, humanity, to say, do you want the old way or do you want the new way? And different things are going to resonate with different people, and they're still going to gravitate towards, the companies and organizations within the new model that most resonate with them.
A kind of like fractal move across the whole of society, from fear to love, from each of us as individuals to communities of us together, organizations, businesses, the whole kit and caboodle, all doing our part and kind of evolving together and shifting from, such a fear-based posture and attitude to a more loving posture and attitude. Sounds really, really good, Lee. And I think we are definitely on that path. It's exciting.
It's definitely an exciting time to be here. I'm happy we chose to be here at this time, despite all the, there's a lot of chaos and there's a lot of crazy things going on. But simultaneously, there are people like you. There are people, these organizations where it's like, I think it, the balance, the yin and yang of the universe, it's ever present. It's, you can't transmute these energies, so there's got to be balance. So while all the chaos and kind of the craziness is going on, simultaneously there's this bridge to the new paradigm that's happening, and this common goal and the awakening of consciousness, a remembering of really who we are and what we're capable of, and I'm excited to be able to witness some of it and be a part of it on some small level.
Where's some of the places online that people can find you, Lee, and what you're up to, what you're connected with? How do they make contact with you should they want to do that?
So you can connect with me at my website, so lee-davy.com, and it's D-A-V-Y.
I'm just putting that on the screen.
Oh, cool.
Is that right, Lee?
Yeah, that's correct. Of course, on Facebook, if you've tuned in today and you want to connect, please reach out. I'm happy to connect, have a conversation. If you're interested in the internship or the coaching program, you can find that online as well, or again, just shoot me a message. I'm happy to connect. Can never have enough friends. So, I'm on LinkedIn as well. I'm not. That's probably the best bet, or Facebook.
Yeah, it's amazing that this social media is allowing us to connect on such a personal level. That's what I love about it so much. I'm kind of using Facebook as my main center point now, even for business. It's like hook up on Facebook. It's such a social thing. I really like it. I'm gravitating more and more to that instead of more businessy type of stuff. It just feels so much warmer.
Yeah, I agree.
So Lee, what's a final message that you can leave with the audience today, for those who have been watching this live, as well as for those who are going to jump on and watch the recording, the rerun of this in the coming hours, days, weeks, months? What's a message that you can send out to that audience to give them a bit of a nudge in their lives?
So I actually want to speak for a moment just to the men, and I've been thinking a lot about this, and I think now I'm ready to really speak about it, and I think so my kind of tag, my whole shtick is the modern day samurai, and it's for book that I'm writing, but also, it's my website, it's my platform, it's a lot of the courses that I teach. And when I started to really study for the way of the samurai for the book, there was a real, they're warriors, but they're very, very spiritual. They're very noble. They're very integrous. They're artists. They're poets. They're into philosophy. So they're kind of a Renaissance man. But the thing that really got to me and really resonated was the nobility and the integrity, and to be able to be strong yet vulnerable, to be able to be powerful yet show your feelings. I think as men we're taught that you can't show your feelings, that you can't be emotional, that you can't be, and I think we can only be in our power when we're connected to our emotions, when we're connected to our feelings. And so I want to challenge all the guys out there to really connect with your feelings, really show up as a male with honor and integrity, with a nobility, with an honoring of the divine feminine. I think there's so many tragic stories about how women have been put down and beaten and just demoralized in all these different ways. And I think as men, if we stand up and we stand together and we come to a correctness and come back into our feelings and honor the divine female and follow the divine female, then I think this world will change for the better. And again, that's something that I'm holding for and really trying to embody and share in my message. And I think it's time that we stand up, stand beside the females, the divine feminine on this planet, and stand together as humanity. And I think as soon as we stand together and eliminate all of the things that separate us, all of the hurts, holding on to hurt, holding on to anger, holding on to pain, it's like drinking poison and expecting someone else to die. So I think, as we let go of all those things, let go of the stories of, why I have to hold on to this pain or why I have to hold on to this sadness, as we let go of victim consciousness and really stand up and stand together and realize we're all one, then I think this transition from the old paradigm to the new paradigm is going to happen so much more rapidly and with so much more ease. And so I think that's all I want to say about that. So
that's a beautiful message, man. That's a really, really beautiful message. Totally resonate with that, and I know everyone that's listening does as well. So, folks, if you want to connect with Lee, it's Lee Davy. You can jump on Facebook, throw him over a friend request. If you're having trouble finding him, of course, you can just let us know over at the Awakening Point. Trace or myself will point you in the right direction. But you can also go to www.lee-davy.com. And that's Lee's website. He's got a lot of stuff going on. He's got this 12-month internship available. I believe it's only 10 spots. Is it, Lee?
Yeah, I mean, I'm getting there's a lot of interest. So I may, if people keep showing up, I may open up a second one, a second 10 spot. So right now there's only 10, but so contact me quickly if you're interested. But I may open up a second group.
Excellent, man. Excellent news. And I've really enjoyed today, and hope that you come on again and give us an update on how the retreat's going, how the internship's going, sharing a little more of your wisdom with myself and the audience. It's been a really, really good day.
Pleasure has definitely been mine, Michael. I'm so appreciative and so grateful to have been on and been able to have this discussion with you. It's been a lot of fun for me, and I would welcome coming on again whenever you have a free spot.
Excellent, brother. Excellent. Awesome. Yeah, I really look forward to that, Lee. And man, congratulations on everything that's happening in your life right now. You've really worked hard for that, and it's just great to see, one of the good guys win.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that, Michael, and likewise on your success. And I really think the Awakening Point is it's going to be a really important voice for people, for change makers moving forward, and to really help others grow and see that they're not alone. So congratulations and thank you again.
Thanks heaps, brother. Really appreciate it. Right. Ladies and gentlemen, Lee Davy. We'll see you again, Lee.
Awesome. Thanks, Michael.
Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.
Take care.